Starting the stream.
Come on, got my little pop-up. It's being live streamed. Okay.
There we go. Okay. All right. Let me got it. All right. And I'm going to start recording. All right. So today I want to go over one part of the business plan, as we've been doing over the last several months, is taking a section of a business plan so you can develop for your own business. And particularly for today, we want to go and concentrate on the marketing plan. The marketing plan is important because you might have very good goods and services that you want to sell as an entrepreneur, business owner. However, you have to get it to individuals who want to buy it or purchase it. So you can't forget about how do you go about marketing your goods, services, getting it to the market, who are your customers, all those different things are necessary to be able to drive sales and services, because that's how you generate your money. So we're going to take some time today to go over that. This is once again an ongoing series. It's Loving Myself First, the business development series. Each month we go over different parts of business development, and today we'll be handling the marketing plan. A reference book that I kind of use and I wrote a couple years back is Kingdom Economics, Living a Wealthy and Prosperous Life. You can find it out on Amazon. And if you want to subscribe on Facebook to my Loving Myself private group, I have the material there also. Once again, these series are concentrated and directed for individuals who want to be able to fully operate a business. You can look at previous sessions that are out there on YouTube and also on Facebook in the private Loving Myself business development group. And I talk about the different levels of we call business. Typically, most people start with hobby, and that is a defined style that the IRS says that you're operating on something, but after 5 years, you're not running an income off of it, then it's going to be deemed a hobby. So a lot of things we do, we like, we call that's my business, but at the same time, from an IRS perspective, that's a hobby if you're not making money from it. Then you can move up to the next level that we have when we're working a job and we do other things on the side, or we try to do some things that's not formalized. We don't have a formal legal structure. We call that the side hustle. That's the things we do to make extra cash on different things, but it's not formalized. Well, to formalize it, you have to get into legal structure, file taxes, and set it up that way, keep records. So what I talk to and what these series is for actually business owners, and that's the true business owners who are actually formalizing, setting up LLCs, sole proprietorships, partnerships, corporations, so that you know which legal structure, the business aspect, and what you can do to operate it so you can file for loans, grants, and things that are necessary to continue to grow your business. So that's what this series is designed for. Before you have a business, the best thing to do is to be able to set up a business plan. Now you can do it while you're operating, because business plans can be used for different things. For startup, for if you don't have a business and you want to start a business, you can create a business plan. Or if you're operating in a business, you're going from those different levels, from hobby to side hustle to actually operating a business, you can use a business plan to track and guide you through that process. there are many elements in a business plan. I talk about the elements in one of my series about developing your business plan early on. So you can look at that videos out on YouTube or Facebook under the business development, loving myself first private group. You can request access to that if you want to have access to that materials. There are 7 main elements or things that are contained within the business plan: the executive summary, company services, your actual service and product you're going to be delivering, market analysis summary, strategic and strategy and implementation, management summary, and financial plan. Today, we're going to cover the market analysis summary part of the business plan. We've already covered the company services, strategy, implementation. And so we're going to concentrate on the market analysis. And just as a hint for next month's session, because these sessions are the second Saturday of each month from 10 to 11 Eastern Standard Time. We'll be going over next month, starting to look at the financial plan, developing a budget, a pro forma. And then after that, how do you analyze the financial statement so you understand as a business owner, what does it mean? And then we can go on and finish up with, can we hire the right people? How do you go about hiring right people if you want to grow your business? That will be the last session that we'll talk about in December. And as we go through these next couple months, if there's items and topics for next year that you want me to be able to concentrate on as we continue the series, you can DM me through Instagram, the Visions 2020, or through Facebook and my Visions 2020 LLC Facebook page, or even if you're in a group, you can be able to send me a message so that we can start compiling those things so it could be profitable for you as you take the time out. As business owners, I understand how much is a sacrifice to be able to take a weekend to go forth to learn some of these things, but it's important because as a business owner, one thing you learn as we go through these series, you're a business owner 24/7. And so, as you go through, it's no such thing as time off. There's always times of advertising, marketing, developing, selling, all those different things, and then trying to grow it. So I'm here to help you grow your business. And so I want to make sure that I'm talking on topics that are applicable to what you want to hear. So don't take some time and then DM me on Instagram, YouTube, in the comments as I broadcast this live. You can put any topics in there, and also on Facebook, my Visions 2020 LLC page, or the private group that you can request access into, Loving Myself First Business Development. So as we concentrate on market analysis, you'll be able to learn some of the aspects of what are some of the things you need to have to understand from a market perspective to grow your business. In marketing, if you go to school and you talk about in business class, they talk about a lot of the P's of marketing: product, price, positioning, promotion, package, and profit. So those are basically the things that you want to get out of the outcomes of marketing. You don't want to market and advertise and then develop just to be at the same place, but you want to be able to make money, set a price so that your price is at maximum what you can do, so you can maximize that for what you want to do and work much more effectively and smarter. So we're going to talk about some of these elements. We're not going to be able to get into the fullness of them, but this is, as the series go, these are elements that you can kind of look at. I'll give you resources and tools that you can work on over the next month before we get to the next topic. And then you can always ask me questions if you're part of the private group, and I will respond to it accordingly. So let's get at it now. Elements of a marketing plan. Now, there are several different elements, and as you have a large business plan, the marketing plan is a mini plan within that business plan, because once again, as you create your products and services, if you can't get it to customers and clients, you're not going to be able to make money. So you have to really take some time to think and strategically focus on how do you get your products to the customers you want. So here's some of the basic elements of a marketing plan. Executive summary. That basically summarizes the next sections within your marketing plan in a concise 1 to 1.5 pages, so that if someone wants to look at it quick, it's kind of like Cliff Notes, just like a business plan as executive summary. They can look at it real quick to get an understanding of what you're really talking about. And if they want to go into more detail, they can go into individual sections. The marketing plan is no different. You want to have an executive summary about how you're going to get your products to the market and clients. And that's usually the last section that you do, because you got to lay it out from the detail, and then the executive summary puts a nice bow and tie to it. We'll start with some of the specifics. And this is something that we've seen to a lot of business I see fail in it. And that's why they get into competition and not realize what makes them different as they go out and try to sell and market their products or their services. Who is your target customer? And that is very important to have to understand. We can't be all things to all people. So who are you attempting to provide services or products to? And in essence, when you develop a marketing plan, you should be able to come up with a customer profile. That's applicable for-profit and also nonprofits. When I was in nonprofit and we were looking at, one of your big stakeholders are donors, because you want them to contribute to your organization and to the cause and mission that you're, providing service for. But when I worked with a marketing consultant, one of the things they helped me to be able to see is who are the people that are already donating to you, so that you can be able to meet those needs, because obviously you already have a hot market with them. And if you want to expand upon them, you got to know what they like, what's attracting them, so that you can be able to provide that service or that mission or that story that enables them to continue to expand. And so when it was all said and done, when I had engaged this marketing firm, I actually had a donor profile of the person based upon the data that they researched who was giving to the organization. And it came out and it was so specific. It was, white, female, of an age of about 40 or so, which is interesting because it makes sense, because basically they're saying professional women or women who were at home with children were the ones that were attracted to the mission that it was providing. And that's important. So that allows for you to concentrate your efforts into that particular area. So each organization has that, and the same with the company. If you're going to be providing a product and service, you got to make sure that you know who you're selling to. And that's something that's important. Then let's go to unique selling proposition. This is the why. Why you versus the another company or person. For instance, and this is crucial about understanding your target customers. What makes you different than anyone else that's doing the same thing? And I give an example here of FedEx. When FedEx is competing with DHL and UPS and other type of delivery companies, one of the things that they kind of do that's part of the tagline, which is their unique selling proposition, and that's something we'll talk about, is taglines are great for marketing and branding. So the tagline of FedEx absolutely, is basically saying this is why we're different, when it absolutely positively has to be there overnight. So basically they have an infrastructure set up that if you purchase to get a product to another person or a customer by a certain time, they can guarantee that. That what makes them different than other type of other transportation type companies that might be delivering that. So take the time, if you're trying to be able to sell to customers and all that, and you have a market that has other people that do that similar things, what makes you different to be able to draw on that segment? Another element is pricing and positioning strategy. This is important because, when you want to set a price, you want to set the maximum price you can get without having it be too low or too high. And so the only way you kind of really know that is what the market bears, especially in a capitalistic economy. So you have to take time and spend and understand your customer and know what are you going to offer for at what price point. And I give two good examples here of different pricing and positioning strategies over the same product. Let's look at, stores. And I say stores because that's the old school terminology. But if you really understand and analyze what stores are, they're distribution networks. They're a place where a customer comes to get what they want. And you got to see it basically like that. And so when you look at the different stores out there, different stores that are very successful have different price points. If you look at Dollar General, Walmart, and Target, we can all view them as stores or distribution networks. However, there's different price points to them. Dollar General has a price point positioning that when someone pops up in there and goes into their particular establishment, they expect them to spend a certain amount of dollars, like $75. They expect someone to come in when they go to Dollar General. So their pricing of different products are at that level. They're not expecting someone to come in and spend $500 at Dollar General. So they don't have the products of that type. So the products they have are for someone that's going to spend around $7,500. So you have to understand that. Now, when you go up to Walmart, Walmart's pricing position is they're looking at people spending $150 or so, $175. So their products are priced that way, but then they recognize a distribution network. You have to bring people in. So that's why they have hair salon, automobile, they have restaurants, they have all these other different things, because where people are going, they want to bring them to that place. And while they're at these places for other things, like getting their tires and getting a haircut, they can go out and also shop and get other things too. So they want to take advantage of people coming to their central place and then offer products and services to them. So Walmart prices their products around that. So when someone leaves out, you're going to spend about $150 to $200. Target is comparable to Walmart for the fact that it's laid out almost the same, except for they have a higher end of products because they expect people to pay close to $200 to $250 when they go in there. So they get similar products that Walmart might have, but they might have it, with a celebrity tag tied to it as branding. So they can offer a higher price on it. And people know going in there, and we talk about it and people joke about it, Target and things like that. But in essence, they're making a branding saying, even though we want to try to go for discounting type products, we still want to get to some high-end discounting. So that's what Target does. That's different than Walmart. That's different than Dollar General. But they all are successful. So you don't see Walmart trying to compete with Dollar General and Walmart trying to compete with Target. They all have their different markets and their price points for what they're serving. And you have to think about that when you're setting your product and services. I'll go into the automobile industry as another example. Ford, Mercury, and Lincoln, it's the same company, but they have three different products based on the same build of the car. The difference is what they add to it to make it more expensive. The Lincoln is the highest end of those vehicles, but it's based on a Ford and Mercury chassis. And it's the same thing. So as you go up the level from Ford, Mercury, and Lincoln, they add more luxury different things onto it to make that price point higher. And so you have to understand that we have to learn from these companies. People will spend what they want to spend, and it's let the market dictate. Sometimes we say, oh, no, we don't want to, price it too high because it's going to be out of the market. Well, you have to look at what is your customer. If your customer wants to spend at that certain level, then you got to price your product up to that. Else, they're going to look at it as maybe inferior, and they're not going to go after and get it. And that gets back to understanding psychology of marketing and neuromarketing. And those are things that we might want to talk about for next year for business development if we want to get into it. But there is a science behind marketing. And if you look at it, you can see why and how people market and sell and advertise based upon how they recognize how the brain operates. And so, please be aware, marketing research already knows what people want, how they think and all that, and why they set different things and products in different positions, because they understand human beings. The next the next part of the element of marketing is distribution plan. Now, you got all these great products and everything, you priced it, you know who your customer is. Now, how will you get it to them? Are you talking about, are you going to do it through a store or physical building, a physical store? Or are you going to do it through a virtual store on the internet? Is it going to be in consignment where you give up your product to someone else and allow them to sell it and you get the money from that? You have to think about, how do you get your products and goods and services to the market? And with the pandemic that's happened, we have a lot more opportunity to be able to be a little bit more flexible on how we want to look at that. Virtual and internet, it's really taken off. And we need to be able to understand that that's an opportunity for us to be able to take advantage. Same with services. A lot of service industry now is allowing for remote learning and working and things like that. So, not necessarily having to invest in a lot of overhead and building utilities and all those costs and renting from place is a plus if you look at it, but you want to make sure you think about, then how do I go about through transportation? I'm going to use UPS, FedEx, or any other type. If a customer makes a sale, how do I go about setting up meetings with folks and things like that? That's where investing into virtual meetings like Zoom or Teams or something like that is a great opportunity, because it allows you to have virtual trainings and seminars or classrooms or meetings and those things. So you got to think about and take some time on, how do you get your products and services to the people that need it, your customers. Another part of the elements of the marketing plan is going to be, offers. How are you going to be able to spur sales or services? Discount sales, promotions, free initial consultations, those things you see and hear out, those are ways, are called offers. Those are ways that you're able to allow people to sample, your market, your services, your products. When you go to Costco or Sam's Club, and you go through and they have all those people, those samples, that's offers. They're getting you a sample so that you can say, oh, that's pretty good. Let me try to get this. And here's a coupon. Coupons are offers. So you have to be able to kind of look at that. And you can do that for both services and products. One of the things I do is if someone wants to be able to contract with me, I typically do an hour free initial consultation to sit down, because I want to make sure that it's going to be worth it. Does it make sense? And they have an ideal. Can they work with me? Is it going to be a good client? So that's an opportunity as an offer to individuals so that they can feel comfortable about going further. So those are things that you want to be able to look at and make sure you have that already built in through your process to spur sales. Marketing materials, that is going to be crucial, because, if you get into doing proposals, trying to go out and get new clients or customers, people want business cards, even still, promotional flyers of your business. And then you have to even look at it a dual. This is why you have to understand what's your distribution plan and strategy. You have to have physical plan and then also a virtual plan. So, letterhead. Do I have things that I put out for Instagram or Facebook on advertisements and promotions? So you have to have a dual, because right now, it's split between there's customers and clients that like the old fashioned way. And then there's others, as younger ones coming up, that like the more virtual type of way. And so you have to be able to understand your marketing materials have to be both for website, brochures, business cards, sales lists, print materials, things like those different things. You got to look at it from that perspective, both. And then that takes us into promotion strategy. Once you have your marketing materials down, how are you going to go about and utilize them? Print, radio, seminars, online shows, things like that. You know, um, cups, shirts, logos, all those different things. I mean, when I did up my materials, I did up shirts, I did up information, print misinformation, things I can do, letterhead, things I can do virtually, so I can promote things, and you can view that. And if you tune in at the end, I'm going to give you resources that you can utilize that I've used in the past that are trustworthy, that have been helpful, because you're seeing, the examples of some of the companies I've used to be able to help with my marketing. When I do my green screen, and I have put up things behind back, and I didn't do it for today, but I have a green screen and all that for when I do seminars and things like that, where I have promotional materials that can go back on there, and so that branding is very inclusive. I didn't think about all that, and as you get into it and start people asking about it. When you want to do proposals, they want your letterhead. I have a website out there that's tied, and in addition, it's not as active as I wanted it to be, but I have out there because unfortunately, old school folks look at websites for validation. But then I also have Instagram, I have YouTube, I have Facebook, because some of the younger people look at it from that perspective. So, the first 5-6 months of me developing my business was dealing with all of this to be able to kind of operate. And be honest, when you look at it, me doing these business seminars, network seminars, this is a promotion strategy. You get to see what I talk about. I have my information out there. All I ask, and these seminars are free. If you go into my private group, ask to join, you can join. I put the videos out there and also on YouTube. And all I ask is that you subscribe, because it helps get my subscriber base up so that I can be able to have a better promotion, get to a point where I can actually have paid promotions if I want to do that. I've earned that with Facebook, and I'm working with that now with YouTube to be able to do it, so that when I want to do a big business, loving myself business development seminar virtual, I'll be able to have paid subscriptions for that aspect. So you have to look at it from a wide perspective. And that's where I break down then the online marketing strategy. So not only you have promotion strategy, that's typically the physical type of thing, but you have to also look at online marketing. How do you deal with a website, social media, all those different things you have to have a presence on, because that's just how people operate. Yes, Roberta.
I was going to say with the green screen, because I just got one yesterday and I'm still having problems with it. But with the green screen, what I have found is going to be beneficial for me is that whatever Zoom that I'm in, like every Friday night, I have a group of people. We do a 50 over 50 and we listen to music all night. But because my target audience is the older adult population, having the green screen up with my business name and contact information on it, then people will know. Even though they're not local, it's still getting the word out about your business, and you still may make a contact in another state or something. And as long as you have all the credentials to provide that service in that state, you can go ahead on and do that thing. Exactly. Or even like in professional, everything except for an interview, because God knows I've been doing some interviews lately. Every meeting you have, even in my cohort, and it's a national cohort and everybody's learning the same thing, there are people who come in and they have their business advertised behind them, because what they want you to know is that they're serious about their product 24/7, 365. And even to the point, I was in the little 50 over 50 thing last night listening to music, but I got a message from a judge who I want to serve on my executive board after 10 o'clock. Well, after 10 o'clock, guess what? I'm responding to that message, because if the judge is up, I'm up, and I need you to know about my business and why I need you on my board. So once again, your marketing is 24/7, your advertising is 24/7. You have to keep this thing flowing and understand you don't know when your clients are going to contact you.
You said a very good point. And that's why I said business owners, this is why I made a distinction between hobby, side hustle, and business. Business is 24/7. I mean, you're working this hours upon hours and things like that. I have clients I have to go to, might have to do 10 hours, but then have to come and do this and prepare for the session and advertise for this session and actually prepare for it and do. So it is 24/7. And that's why you have to know. And that's why I always try to push that if you haven't read or gone through my Loving Myself First personal development series, I say go for that, because if you become a better person, then you're going to be a better business owner. There's not separate, because I was taught they were separate for years. And then I realized you are who you are. And so understand how you build yourself up through attitude, behavior, emotional intelligence, all those different things, so you can strengthen fitness, nutrition, all those things that make you better, mental health, so that you can make yourself a better person. So you recognize that you're going to be with yourself 24/7 and your business is going to be 24/7. So, get settled in that. So there's some resources I have out there and some videos on YouTube and also on Facebook that deals with personal development. And just to talk to a point about, you never know how promotions work. I shared on the advertisement for this session on Instagram that, and I attended a racing, did a racing thing. Ernestine and I went down for racing to Tennessee to visit my parents. And while we're down there, that's usually we go through there as a bonding thing with my brother and his brother-in-law and things like that. And so we did that. And my father there, he likes to see those racing things. And as we were watching those things, I attended and we had a good time. But the big sponsor of the Indy race for this year is Big Machine, Music City, Big Machine. They're a big promoter of acts like that. They used to be able to promote Taylor Swift, but there was a big fallout from that. But they're a big time concert promotion and a producer. So they're sponsors of an Indy series for this year. And so it's amazing. They sponsor that, but they get their acts to perform at each of these events. So it's a win-win for them. Yep. But they were offering a campaign on Instagram where they said, okay, for three winners, we're going to give you license and signed posters of different, radios of auto racers and things like that, because we're trying to promote this event for next year. So send us some pictures, of it, of you attending an event and all that. See, that's a promotion.
Yep.
Okay. But what happened is, so I participated because I love Indy and racing. So I went in with Instagram and put the pictures that we had and all that. And I was one of the ones that won. Won it. So I was like, oh, okay. But what I noticed, but I got also my opportunity to advertise because I did it through Visions, not Fred Massey. I did it through Visions. Right. And when I liked it through Visions and promoted through Visions, it got noticed by Big Machine, Music City, and a lot of other indie folks. And Will Power, who's a big time indie driver, actually, not that he just liked the picture that I did to him, he went through my profile and started liking,
there you go.
Visions, business planning. He recognized that I was an entrepreneur type person in that. So it just shows you the online and these things and how, so I got to a bigger audience that didn't know me by the fact that his audience, by connecting and liking, connected his audience to me. And I got like 200 other connections out of it that I wouldn't have gotten using a social media platform. That's why I said, go ahead, Roberta. You're mute.
And that's what happened to me. I had asked, I'm looking at the larger scheme of my nonprofit, but I had asked one of the professors from the local university, I was like, oh, I want you to be on my board. And the only thing I had did was I went to the university's website. I read her bio background to see that she was a professor in gerontology. Well, and she was a woman of color. I didn't know that she had only been in her position for 2 years. So she was like, whoa, I don't know if I can do this. We had a really good Zoom meeting. She said, I don't know if I can serve on your board. She said, and if I don't get permission from the university, she said, 9 times out of 10, I won't be able to help you that way. But I have students who all they want to do is write grants. She said, so I'll plug you into that. So you don't know in your conversations and how you represent and how you package yourself, what opportunities are going to occur from conversations. And I had sent her my PowerPoint. I had sent her my resume because she didn't know me. I'm not a student of UNCG. But the thing was, she was like, okay, I want to hear you out and I want to help you because it sounds really good. And then what ended up, the other benefit of the relationship was that she said, I have so many things on my whiteboard that I want to do. I said, well, how about this? I'll hold you accountable for clearing off your whiteboard and getting your goals done if you help me address my situation. And she was so emotionally overcome. She was like, that was the tie. That was the investment. So you don't know, a picture, a word of encouragement, whatever. You don't know where it's going to lead. I was in a coaching with, I was in a presentation with a female NFL coach, little lady from Florida. And she just said, you don't know. She said, I don't know you when you walk into a room. She said, how I know you is how you present your business and your business idea. And if you don't do it from a place where I feel sincere. And so I don't even know, by asking her a question, she may have linked somebody to me in this area because she's in the NFL. She knows people everywhere. She's like, I'm not a team fan of anybody. She said, I worked for Arizona Cardinals. She said, but I have players all over the league. She said, so I'm not a team player. But if she knows someone from this area, she may say, hey, you may want to look out and make an investment if this lady reaches out. You represent your business no matter where you are and what you do.
That is about why you have to be present and have a strong marketing plan and recognize the investment in it. The other last two parts, I want to get to the elements as we continue to move through here, then so we can get into some examples and have them out there, is conversion strategy. This is so important because in sales one-on-one, they say the biggest issue with salespeople is they never ask for the business. And so the reason why you're doing these marketings and reason doing sessions and offer your discounts and things is ultimately to get a client to get revenue. And so you need to be able to say and explain and think about, how do you do with all these marketing, print and all that, and being all these different places, how do you turn that into clients and products and goods and services sold? So, so you want to have elements in there where you talk about, okay, I have samples, free sessions, testimonies, things like that, so that you can convert individuals actually into customers. I go back to even my days when I was running nonprofits and I was participating in meetings. And there was a association meeting that I went to, and that was like 4 years ago. And I was participating, and and there were individuals who were running nonprofit organizations, and it was a group that was tight that we're talking about, and they had different seminars and things going on. And then when I left nonprofit to start my business, folks from that group are the ones that are reaching out to me now to contract with me for their nonprofit. And so you never know what you do and all, but you got to be able to have the ties, the connections, stay in the networks and stay in connected in those different ways, and you got to make sure it's valuable to you. And you have to be an honest evaluation. If it's something that's to you, that's not necessarily going to be profitable for you, it's okay to cut it off. Sometimes we get emotional, we tie into things, but we have to look at where we're going, not where we've been. And so you have to really evaluate those over time to say, hey, what boards are you serving on? What are you participating and volunteering your service to? It's time. There's different seasons in life, and you got to be able to evaluate and be able to say, okay, I'm in these certain things for this moving forward, and it's okay. And I had to deal with it. That's why I said loving myself, personal development is important, because I had to be able to build myself up to let go of things, be able to step out on these things, all those connection things. So it's not you're wrong or you're trying to be disrespectful, but you have to be able to know it's okay for you to live a life where you want to go, not to live what other people want you to be. So understand and be able to have a plan about how you're going to take all this marketing and information and things like that and convert it into customers. You got to be able to lay that out instead of just doing things. And then last part of it is the budget. You got to have an eye still of what's going to cost. And this is important because depending upon how you go, I've had to pay for my logos and branding, and it's real economical. And I'll share the resources with you to that. But then when there were times when I actually did a branding with a marketing company for my nonprofit agency, it was around $100,000 when you're talking about logo, setting up websites, and all those other things. So you have to understand, what is it going to cost for you to do? And if you have to do it on incremental steps, then you need to put that in your strategic plan or your operational plan about how you're going to cover and what you're going to attack, so that you can at least make sure you're well aware of it. I found this out there on the internet, but this is a good visual of a marketing plan. So sometimes you can have it just in like part of your strategic plan is all, kind of in there and could be all just technical. But this really spoke to me because this is based upon a real estate company. And so it takes a lot of those elements, but puts it in a nice visual way. See, and this is where I know for myself, I'm not creative like this. So I will have to budget and pay for someone to do that. And I'm not going to say, hey, you don't need to be all that, but you got to understand the market and the people you want to deal with. Typically, like for instance, if I'm in nonprofit and trying to market to program folks from nonprofit, they are more, if you look at it from a DISC behavioral perspective, they're S's. So they want to be creatures of connectedness, and they want to be with heart and things like that. So they want you got to be able to reach them in that. So the way that you can market to individuals like that, you'll see pictures of them with kids or whatever the mission is something that's going to be important. That's how you connect. If you want to deal with another part of it, if suppose you want to deal with, automobile mechanic type things, you want to be like that. Well, you want to deal with gearheads, so drag racing, race cars, see all these different parts, stars. Those are the ways, so presenting in that way. So that's why I said you have to understand your customer that you're trying to market to and sell your products to. We got to get out of the way of our own self saying, that's not like I like it. You need to understand who you're dealing with and understand that customer profile. That's why I said that's one of the most important elements is who is your customer, and see it from that perspective, because that's what you want to attract. So when I look at this is something that's interesting because it talks about, okay, this is a marketing plan for a real estate type. So look at some of those elements they were talking about in it. How are you going to do it through the internet? So they lay out, here's the listing sources. Here's the websites that we're dealing with. Here's my personal website. Here's all these different exposures through all the different social media. So even though this is real estate, can you put your own particular business into that type? Like, okay, in the internet, how we're going to go about dealing with certain clients, who's my clients and where they're at. I was working with a client this week, and today, besides 9/11 memorial celebrations that are going on and remembrances, also the month of September is National Recovery Month for those who are recovering from drug and alcohol addiction. So there's a lot of events going on in Allegheny County in Pittsburgh, where I reside. They're hosting a recovery day, their recovery walk. It started at 9 o'clock and finishes at 1, and they meet and they walk down, and it's an awareness campaign for individuals. Well, if anyone hasn't attended that, Every provider that provides drug and alcohol services is there. Family members bring their family members in recovery. You have speakers and testimonials of people from celebrities, politicians, news people who are in recovery that talk about their struggles and what they've been through. So it's a good environment of exposure. Well, if you're in that type of business or service, then you need to be there. That should be on your strategy, because that's a place that's bringing people who need services with providers are there. And you want to be those providers and build up your waiting list and things like that. So that's a part of your listing strategy. And for this year, they did it both virtual and physical. So you can have that place and all that. Need to have, do you have a website? That's something. And I tell people, younger people don't give too much credence to websites, but older people do kind of look at websites because it's established credibility. So, I have a website, that was economical that I was able to set up. But in addition, I have Facebook presence, Twitter, YouTube presence also. For my company, I have a personal, but I have a specific for company. I have Visions 2020 LLC. So if you look at that, you can search that under YouTube and that will come up. You can search that under Facebook and that come up. That's important to make that distinction because you want to be able to promote your business. Then you got international exposures too. That's reason why I start doing live with YouTube and then uploading Facebook, because there's people and friends I have that are in Africa, that when I went over there and did sessions that are part of my group and things like that. So you want to make sure you have exposure, and that's when you become cognizant of different things. So you'll hear me like when I say it's from Saturdays from 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern time, because I had to recognize there's people that might be in California, there might people be in Kenya that might be wanting to watch, so they recognize they want to tune in on a live. So that becomes worldwide, international perspective, if you want to. So look at that as that applies to your business. Then they have some of the things as far, marketing. How are you going to market? So to realtors, they recognize realtors are the key customers because they bring in people wanting to purchase property. So how are you going to, so they have what their marketing plan is to realtors, flyers, showing agents where they actually, I love home shows like HGTV, but if you notice all the different ones, there's times they open up to the public, but before they open up to the public, they typically open up to realtors also, because realtors are going to bring their clients. So they might have a showing first to realtors to spur up interest, and then they'll open house to the public. So what do you do for your business and services and things like that? That's applicable to you. How do you go about and offering that out? So that's what it means. You have to understand who are your true stakeholders. Who are the ones. Like for instance, if you're looking at drug and alcohol for clients, who are your true clients? Is it them, or is it the loved ones of the family members that are going through that don't know what to do? See, there's a distinction there. You got to see. Sometimes, like for instance, we try to market things. Like a lot of times, you want to market things to kids for kid toys and all that. But who's the true client? It's the parents. They're going to be buying the toys. So that's why you have to spend time to understand who's your true customer. Because sometimes we be going after the wrong person and wondering why sales aren't going or clients aren't coming in. And if you're a nonprofit, for instance, even though you might have a direct client that you want to service, it might be the government entity that is doing the intake that is the stakeholder you need to be able to market to. So keep those in mind. This template talks about an example of print and direct mail for a realtor. How are we going to go about postcards, QR codes, or another thing that are popular, brochures, listings, things like that. I can guarantee you each of your businesses that you're looking to operate have seminars, they have associations. So you want to be able to know who they are, get with them, make sure, you're a member of them. They might offer advertisements, things like that. So, that's why you want to spend some time in your marketing plan. And then I also, they have open houses. That is how you open yourself up different, you can call it different things, opportunity market, meetings, um, sessions. I mean, my open house is basically these sessions. It gives you a glimpse of what I think about business, what you can learn from them. You can assess my expertise through this. And then the hope of this is that as you go through that, you want to contract with me for getting into more specifics of building and developing and doing different assessments and things like that. So then outsource outside resources, and how are you going to go about to be able to promote, and utilize, who are the things. So these are people that you might need to be contracted out with to do, so who are the people? It might be lawyers, accountants, consultants. I mean, you got to factor those in. I mean, I had directors of developments and staff and all that, but I still had to go outside to experts, the marketing consultants, to be able to look at branding and logo analysis and things like that. So you keep that in mind. So this is a good example, even though it's real estate based. Take the same things and kind of look at that, from your business and use that. I want to give some time here. Okay. We want to take some time to develop your own kind of like outline of your marketing plan. If we go back to these elements, can you take up, kind of jot out some time? And I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to just go in and just jot out some things that can set up as an outline so that you can work on it over the next month or so for your own business plan. Yes, Roberta.
I did want to say that, so I read the Kingdom Economics.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I did in regards to the book and all the other biblical teachings and things that I learned and used it as a marketing is sowing seed into other not other businesses per se, but so like one of the aspects of my business is caregiver support. So I came across one woman in a church group, and she was saying that she was a caregiver of her mother and blah, 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 blah. And it had hit me. I just wrote down her name and stuff. And I was like, I need to sow a seed in her life. I ain't saying that it got to be a whole host of crops, but a small seed, just like the Bible say, a mustard seed.
Mm-hmm.
I sowed a mustard seed in her life. And she was like, I never thought, and she's all the way in California. And then there was another person who I had said, oh my God, this man is wonderful. He's taking care of his mother. I just want to do X, Y, Z. And I was like, the holiday season is coming up. I'm getting ready to get this grant. I want to do like 4 people who I would like to bless during the holiday season. No sooner than I said it, a week later, his mother passed away.
Mm.
But I still sowed a seed because he was a caregiver. And just to say, go get yourself, treat yourself, because right now you're in the midst of transition. And on behalf of Ruth and Naomi's house, which is my business, we want to sow this seed into your life. And the lady in California, I did the same thing. I said, it's not a church thing. I said, it's a church thing. It's a heart-to-heart thing, but it's also on behalf of my business. And I kept, every time I said something, I referenced the business. And so, and we had only met online one time. So I made sure that I CC'd somebody so she didn't just think I wanted her PayPal or Zelle to try and get her money or anything like that. And then she said, oh, well, I would like to know about your business. I said, well, I have a PowerPoint, but it's kind of, And she was like, no, send it to me. I want to read about it. And so even sending it to her, she responded. She was like, oh my goodness, I can see where this and this and this. So in regards to Kingdom Economics, you may plant a seed today in somebody's life, whether it's a freebie, or your discounted hour or something. You don't know what you're going to reap in that regards. And when you do it, I'm just saying this because based on the book, and I don't know where everybody is in their walk. When you do it, pray about it. Say, Lord, you know what? I'm doing this not just because I want my business to flourish, but because I have a heart for this, or this is my passion. Please find favor and blessing. I call that my fertilizer because I want it to grow. But I'm just saying that is just like a wonderful thing to do that, because then that's another way people learn about your business.
I agree. A lot of the things in my life I didn't realize at the time, and that's why it culminates into the book, is I was planting seeds. There's a lot of times that I was helping people build their business, didn't get no pay, wasn't even expecting, or doing seminars, or I was paying for people coaching me. That book came out of me paying someone to coach them. And at that aspect, I got access to Kenya, a group of folks, and the group of folks from back in 2011 are friends to me today, and we're working. I'm going to be going out, spend some time with them later on at the end of this month. And that's what's from Africa. I stayed with them in Germany and here, when they were there, and we helped do ministry together and these different things. And now they're building a nonprofit out of a homeless ministry that they have. And they go back and forth to Africa each year and things like that, and missions work. So like I said, you just don't know. This is why I like the Kingdom Economics is, and then when you look at it from a spiritual perspective, we are all here meant to do something. And you're not going to find peace just doing anything you want to do. That's why people jump from places, relationships. But when you get into that proper place of purpose, then you can be at peace, even though things might go hot, crazy. and then you can see the world open up to you for what you really want to do. So I applaud you in that aspect. It is true. Planting seeds is an important thing. In a business perspective, that's called just joint partnerships, type of things. I know for several, like when I was auditing, there was cable companies when they were starting off. This was like 25, 30 years ago. They would sell ads, sometimes they could get money for them, but then they might just do what they call trades. Hey, if you want some ad space on here, you want to advertise your business, okay, fine, let's do that, and let's get back and forth. A lot of other businesses do it. Hairstylists do that a lot of times. Okay, you have a business, I'll do your hair, but then advertise me and out there on Instagram or like on this or do that, or people who doing public relations and things like that. That's that quid pro quo type of thing that's happening. That's the planting of seeds and opportunities of things going. So it doesn't always have to be money. See, United States, we are with our economy so into money, but understand money is just a means of exchange. You have goods and services and wealth beyond that you can offer. So if there might be something that might cost $20,000 for marketing services, but you might have a product that marketing company or person that's another entrepreneur might be able to utilize that would have to pay out anyway. You could do a trade with that and be able to get that, type of thing for. So, think about those ways, because that's the one thing I didn't list here, but that is something you should be able to think about is what are some branding, joint partnership, trade type things as a way of approach to be able to have some access there. Okay. Here's what I said before. I was going to show you some of the marketing resources out there that I've used. And I have they have a website, and they also have Facebook and Instagram presence. So I have them out there. Brown Bomber Designs, young and a great designer. He's the one that designed my shirts and my logo. Very reasonable. I definitely recommend. He does a lot. Great. When I thought to myself, I said, Visions 2020. That's what I want. Visions 2020. And I said, I see, because anyone knows my tagline. I talk about that a lot. And I said, I'm taking you from dreams to visions, because a lot of people have dreams, but your dreams you can't get accomplished. You got to have visions because you have to set a plan. So I want to take you from dreams to visions. So if you have a business that you want to really grow and start, work with me, and I can make it happen with you and work with you. So he's one that designed my own marketing time, my shirts, my symbol, the things that you see on my website and my Facebook page, Instagram, and those things. I have I have almost 20 different ones and styles, black and white colors, different things. And I use those for my shirts and logos, my letterhead, things like that, print materials. And a very good designer, and he does a lot. He's from the Pittsburgh area, but he has a good internet presence. So Brown Bomber Designs, check them out. And then also another person that does well, D Ward Design. Great. Go to the website. I know his wife personally. His wife works for one of my clients. Great, woman of God. He's a man of God himself. He's been at it for almost 2-3 years. Left a job and has been doing this. So he's a great designer also, and to be able to do it reasonable. And then when you talk about marketing communications, Bynum's. When I was running my nonprofits, I utilized Bynum's for almost 18 years. He, Russell and his wife, they helped me personally with understanding television, getting out there on TV programs and things so I could understand. He helped me understand green screen, don't wear certain colors that will blend in, things like those things. Who's the marketing? How do you deal with, like, for instance, the line of services I dealt with, there are times some things could go wrong. So how do you deal with a reporter that's trying to get at you and things like that and all? And so they have a good, strong, long-term marketing company, great Christian folks also. So those are ones I personally use and recommend to anyone that's part of the network. All right. once again, one of the books that I was looking at, and when I started this whole business development, was How to Start a Business by Greg Shields. I recommend that. It talks about setting up your legal structures and your business operations and all those different things, which is important because, as I get clients, I want people to learn and business owners to learn and know this stuff instead of just, okay, I just do it for me. I mean, because when I say I want, there's certain customers I want people I can grow with and ongoing long term. So I also love educating and coaching. That's part of my business segment. So, and a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, I set up a business." I say, "What kind is it? Is it a sole proprietor LLC?" "I don't know." I said, "Why did you set up as an LLC?" I saw a lot of people had that out there. So I want people to understand. And that's why in one of my first sessions on business, I talk about what are the business entities, what makes the difference between legal and tax so that you understand it. And so you can go from sole proprietor up to an LLC or to a corporation. It's easier to do that versus just jumping into something and then later trying to, retrofit it. So, but a lot of good information is on how to start a business. And as we end the session, are there any questions from anyone? I have, once again, this is all my access, email contact, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all those are out there.
What's a short form 501c3? Because I contacted my the guy who does my taxes here, and I was like, "Oh, I want to do my 501c3." I said, "I know it's gonna cost me $600." He was like, "Why are you doing a long form when you can do a short form?" So what's the difference between a long and a short?
Well, it all goes back to different qualifications and what's that. Like for instance, a lot of like hospitals, schools, that's more so a long form, and depending upon what the budget size is that dictates that. So like for instance, even when you set up a nonprofit and then you have to file 990, you can file 990 like easy form if it's under like $25,000 or $100,000. So there's a revenue component to determine on long form versus short form based upon your budget.
Okay, thank you, because I didn't understand, and we're doing that on Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I want you. So when you get some of that specifics, bring that back to the group there.
I definitely will. It's a Black accounting firm, and I met him through my last job. He was providing assistance to somebody else for their business. And I was like, "I'm saving your number." And we just became friends. He does my taxes and he understands my personality. So we have a really good working relationship, and I ask him anything. He just makes himself available, and I'm so grateful. Oh, and I give him free advertising too.
Yep. And if maybe share his contact information with me too, because there's times where people ask me in my business segment, I don't like to set up like companies a lot because that takes a lot of effort and legality. But if there's people who do like to do that, I'd like to refer them out,
I sure will. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Now, next month, October 9th, we're going to be looking at developing your budget pro forma. And so that talks about like, what a budget looks like, a 5-year budget, 1 year, kind of what elements are those. So we're going to look at that because that's important even going forward, because you always are going to have to be doing budgets, whether you work for your own business or for someone else or things like that, to understand what makes. And if you want to file for companies, especially a nonprofit, they're going to ask for a 5-year pro forma or actual. So we're going to talk about the elements of that. And then in November, we'll talk about what are financial statements and how to read them and understand them, because typically most business owners aren't like business money type people. So, give you a basic understanding of that so that you don't get taken and you also know what to look for. Well, I thank you all for taking the time out and participating. I look forward to Seeing you next month. Continue to work on your marketing strategy and the outline and filling that out into more of a good plan for yourselves. If you have any questions, you can once again DM me through Instagram or through Facebook or through the group. You can post something out in our business development group. And Roberta will let you know that if you put something out there, I typically respond in it as quickly as I can in that. And that's part of what I offer for those that are in the private group as an add-on value of service for those. So once again, have a good day. And I look forward to seeing you next month.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Yep. And let me
You
get off.
too.